Welcome to Just Break Up, the podcast about love, heartbreak, and all the relationship advice you don't want to hear. My name is Sierra DeMulder.
And I'm Sam Blackwell. And today we're going to answer a letter from somebody who broke up with her partner and wants to get back together. But before we begin, we just want to give you our Surgeon General's warning, which is that Sierra and I are not licensed mental health practitioners.
No, we are not professionals. We are not trained in this. One of us is married to their ex.
Stop it.
Quick caveat there.
Don't lead with that.
Listen, I'm leading with that because I'm giving different advice. But we'll see. It's accountability. It's transparency.
Yeah,
you know what
absolutely.
I mean?
I appreciate it.
But this is all to say we don't know what we're talking about, so please take our advice as you see fit. We're only here to offer our humble musings, so if we shed some understanding and maybe some laughs about the incredibly rewarding but mostly confusing experience that is love. All right, today's letter is coming to us from First-Time Heartbreaker, whose pronouns are she, her, who is writing to us from crying in bed again. There's like a comma after bed and an exclamation point after again. I've been there. Hi, sweet Sam and sweet Sierra. I would love your wisdom and thoughts and tough love on this stupid heartbreak I'm feeling. 5 months ago, she, her, broke up with my partner, he, him, of 2 years. I felt 100% like this was the right move at the time and had a month of hot girl summer before I buckled down and started feeling my feelings and putting the hard grieving and healing work in. Here's the deal. As I have been connecting with myself, learning more about attachment theory, drawing connections between my wounds and my actions over many years, not just in this relationship, and honestly, just learning more about what a good, healthy relationship looks like and what I want out of one, I'm realizing that I had it with my ex. We had a stable, loving, healthy relationship that at 2 years in was about to reach a new level of dependency that made my insecure attachment freak out and end things. During our relationship, we didn't communicate very vulnerably with each other, which resulted in me not feeling seen or minimizing my own feelings. I craved that vulnerable connection and felt his resistance, ignored my own resistance, lol. So when I knew more vulnerability was needed, I just pulled the plug. When we broke up, he told me that he would have buried bodies for me. Okay, what the fuck?
Yeah, no, I remember reading that in the letter was like, what?
Straight dudes, let me tell you, the way they were trained to show affection, it's like, I'm not going to tell you that I'm sad or that you mean something to me. I'm going to tell you that I would literally chop up a body and bury it for you. Like, what the fuck?
It's one way to show affection, for sure.
I must have skimmed over that line because I did not see that one coming. All right, here we go. Anyway, I knew he was telling the truth, which is terrifying. I'm sorry. It just caught me off guard. Anyway, she writes, I knew he was telling the truth, but he would never tell me how he felt. Exactly. And I had a hard time feeling secure. Exactly. Without the explicit verbalizations other than the threats of murder. I added that one in.
Yeah.
Up until the break. I gotta laugh that one off because
it's really something. It's really something.
It's just, it just caught me off guard. And the limitations of masculine affection.
This poor man can't express a single feeling, but he's like, okay, I'll just prove I love her by saying I would bury a body for her. And it's like, how about just oh, I love you. Or God.
Sorry. It just, I'm in a mood. Here we go. Up until the breakup, there were many moments I thought he would end things with me because I upset him or he was being, quote, off. So I'd walk on eggshells, but that thought literally never crossed his mind. It was my insecure attachment rearing its head, but I didn't know at the time what it was. He really was so loving and warm and brought me treats and bodies, just kidding, that reminded him of me and held me through panic attacks and made me laugh and went on adventures with me. He was all the things I wanted, except the vulnerable communication. In our 2 conversations post-breakup, we were so open and vulnerable, and I felt so close to him. While we were in it, I felt like this is what I wanted. So now I think that it is possible. He's been in therapy since the breakup, too, which for a number of reasons is really great, and I'm really very proud of him. People around me are pretty anti me getting back together with him. I think they just think I can do better, and maybe I can, but what if I don't want to? The other thing is I see him often. We share a hobby, so we crossed paths super briefly twice a week. He is still really, really hurt by the breakup. I don't know if my desire to get back with him comes from me or comes from wanting him to not be hurting so badly anymore. I don't know if I want to get back together with him or if I want to get back together with him, if that makes sense. I cry at least once a month about it. Yeah, around my period, but that's okay, right? Sometimes at other times of the month too. I'm just a confused bundle of feelings. I will take anything you've got in terms of perspective shifts, offering of wisdom, et cetera, et cetera. Thank you for all that you do. It's been such a comfort to listen to you over the past 4 years. All the love in the world. First time heartbreaker.
All right, first time heartbreaker. I am so sorry that you ended your relationship with this person and that it's affecting you so deeply. You know, I think it's hard to break up with people, especially people who are kind and funny and hold us during our panic attacks and offer us treats and, you know, are generally good people.
Acts of violence.
Yeah, and offer, you know, to do illegal things for us.
I will get over that by the time we're done recording.
Yeah. You know, it's hard. It's hard to break someone's heart, you know, and it's hard to see them hurting as you do twice a week. I think that it's important to remember that, like, you know, breakups aren't always just like a good person and a bad person, and the bad person does the breaking up and they're mean and awful and stupid, and the good person is the broken up with and they didn't deserve it and it's so sad, right? Like, it's always more complicated than that. And so I'm sorry that you had to do that. I'm sorry that you know, saw that this person wasn't able to be there for you in the ways that you needed, which was having vulnerable and open conversations about your feelings and what you were going through. And I'm sorry that you have to see him twice a week and know that he's hurting in this particular moment. And I think we're going to offer some perspective on this to remind you that, you know, heartbreak is part of a breakup and doesn't mean that we've done something wrong, and offer you a way to think about this in a way that doesn't make you think that this person is the only person for you and you need to get them back in your life so that you can figure out how to move on from this relationship. But before we do that, we are going to take a quick break.
All right, my darlings, welcome back. And a special welcome to my darling letter writer. I'm sorry for laughing so much about that stupid thing about burying a body. I get the sentiment and I understand that it's sweet.
Yeah.
In some way.
Sure.
It would mean something to me. Okay, so like I said at the beginning of the episode, I am married to my ex. I am guilty of rekindling things, or most of all, I am most guilty of looking back into my relationships in the past with all the awesome healing and growth and perspective and time that I've accrued since we broke up, and looking back at them through that lens of perspective that I achieved, and really feeling a great sense of nostalgia, even for things that weren't right in the moment. I am a sucker for, quote, wasted potential. I'm putting that in quotes because, like, that, I think that's just an idea that we like to wrap around relationships. You know, it's not about potential. It's about really what is happening right now, you know? So I say all of this to say you and I are very kindred, right? I would be thinking and processing in the exact same way as you. You're only 5 months out of a 2-year relationship. I would still very much be in the processing my feelings, wondering if I made the right decision, and really longing for things to feel right again. And what would feel right to our, like, really convoluted brains and hearts sometimes. It's a return to where you were before you disrupted all of it. Do you know what I mean? So I get it, girl. I would do the same thing, but as your queer older sister across the internet ocean, I'm going to lovingly say to you and myself, that just because you can now see the good that you did have doesn't mean that there wasn't a core incompatibility there. And it doesn't mean necessarily that you need to go back to excavate that relationship for the potential that you now see in it, or the good that you didn't have the skills to access back then. You know what I mean? I am really guilty of, like, it's not rose tinted glasses, but it's like, let's take my shitty ex for an example that I always fucking talk about, but I really just learned so much in this breakup. The relationship I had before my wife, the dude that cheated on me, and I was like awful too because he cheated on me. I learned so much. I learned so much about myself on this fucking podcast and in my own relationships and healing and friendships about why our dynamic was the way it was, and why, more importantly, him and I could do so much better for each other. Like, we could have been so much better to each other, hypothetically. You know what I mean? With this knowledge that I have now, you know, with this perspective that I have now. But does that mean we should be together? Like, no, it's not enough. It does not. Just because you can see how the cards would fall differently, especially that dude.
Like,
I know.
Let's not go back there.
I know. I really did. He's a great example. I don't mean to always bring him up, but he's a great example because we both wronged each other. Because even though he was the cheater, I was the controlling psycho freak who couldn't get over the cheating and should have just broken up with him. But instead, I treated him like trash and never fully trusted him. And it was like never emotionally there, you know? And so I'm looking back on that relationship with all this understanding, like you, letter writer, of my attachment style, of my anxiety, of my need for security, of my desperation to make it feel better, you know? And looking back, I can also see what was good about us, you know, why I loved him, why I wanted it to work so badly, and why I was willing to put up with stuff to fight for this good. But just because I can see it, just because I can name it, doesn't mean I need to go back to it. In fact, it is an amazing gift for your next relationship that you are able to articulate this in this way. It's an amazing gift for you, period, that you can say, wow, in that relationship, my attachment style came out like, whoa, and it expressed itself in this way. And, you know, I put up with this in this way. You know, I swallowed this when I wanted that. You know, like, it's a gift, but it doesn't mean that you need to rectify the quote wrongs. It doesn't, you know, there's something in me that wants to go back and fix things. And I know y'all are like, you are married to your ex. I get it. But there was 12 years in between us, and I didn't go back, you know, wanting to fix what we had. I went to we reconnected with a desire to build something totally differently. That being said, I get it. I'm married to my ex. I know things can happen. Who knows? Maybe this person's the perfect person for you, but it doesn't sound like it. So I'm going to pass it off to my friend Sam to point out all the ways
for sure
that this person really didn't sound like they were right for you. And that's okay. It's okay that they weren't right for you. Go ahead, Sam.
You know, you say in your letter, friend, that like your insecure attachment style, you know, drove you to question things and then break up with this person. And I also like want to name that like insecure attachment style people like don't just like break up with people. You know, like folks with insecure attachments like want to make relationships work no matter how hard they have to try, right? Because for folks who are anxiously attached, like the idea is that this is the partner for me and I have to convince this person to love me because they're the only person that ever will, right? Like that's the sort of like core wound that folks with anxious attachment styles are coming up with. And so the fact that you were looking at this relationship and saying, shit, like this isn't working for me means that things had to have been bad enough for you to recognize in your anxious attachment that you needed something different. And I'm going to tell you that I think that it's actually your anxious attachment that is driving you towards trying to get this person back more so than your clarity post relationship that is like no longer triggering your anxious attachment style. You know, like just because you've broken up with this person doesn't mean that those patterns aren't still there. Doesn't mean that those patterns aren't still coming up for you and for him in ways that are trying to like drive you into more unhealthy relationship with each other. And I think like it makes sense to me because I like know a lot of anxiously attached people that like after the breakup, you're still like, I have to figure out how to convince this person to love me still, right? Like I have to win them back to prove to myself that I'm worthy of being loved. And so, you know, I know that you're trying to like blame your attachment style for this breakup, but I actually want you to look at the way that your attachment style is affecting you in this moment to say like, shit. And I know that like you are now in this place where it's like, he was a perfect person. He brought me treats and he did all these things. And he also was not emotionally available for you. And like, I think that that's a big caveat, right? I think that a lot of us do this when we're like, oh, this person is perfect for me, except for, you know, he killed my mom or whatever. Like, it's just like, and then buried the body for me. You know, like, it's just like, that's the type of logic that I think so many of us have when it comes to these types of like the people that we're like most enamored with or that we're most like sort of liminally into in the current moment. But like, this person isn't perfect for you because he has this big flaw, which is that he can't have vulnerable conversations with you unless he's in like, he's been threatened with a breakup. You know what I mean? Like the fact that he was able to do it in that moment doesn't mean that he's able to do it consistently. It just means that he was able to do it that one time because he was under threat. And so like, I just want to like, again, take those rose-colored glasses off. I want to talk to your anxious attachment style here and say like, there are other people that will love you and that will hold you and that will be able to meet your needs in ways that this man was not able to. He is not someone that you need to convince to love you in order to prove that you're lovable. Your attachment style is lying to you right now about how perfect this man was because it's afraid of being alone. It's afraid of having given up on the one love that you will ever have or the most perfect lover, whatever you're thinking about it in your head. And I want to like challenge that and say, this man is just a man who you were in love with, you were in a relationship with you. He is not the be all end all of how lovable you are. This relationship is not the last relationship that you'll have. And this man was not perfect. This man was not able to give you the things that you needed. And what does it look like for you instead of spending time trying to figure out all of the ways that you fucked up to create this problem in this relationship? If instead you took that energy and started thinking about, what am I looking for in a partnership that isn't with this person? What did I learn from this relationship that I'm going to make sure I'm asking for and living in whatever comes next for me? Where are the places where I can say, this wasn't working for me and he wouldn't show up for me in the way that I needed to. So I need to look for that in somebody else, right? Because I don't want you to go back there because I don't think that back there is someplace that has the things that you're looking for. And I know that you're going to wind up in the same patterns over and over and over again, because that's the way that this relationship works. This man has proven to you that he is not somebody that you can date long-term. Yeah,
I totally agree with what Sam said. This is a time for not just learning about what you want from a different partner, but reflecting on your own patterns, reflecting on your own desires. You're doing everything right, but you don't need to go back to like fulfill the prophecy of growth and healing. Do you know what I mean? Like the lesson on this is the shit right here. And this is the last thing I'll say. Like the unfortunate thing about breakups and relationships is often what we learn from them, we cannot apply to them. Do you know what I mean? Like what we learned from your relationship because you guys broke up, you can't apply it retroactively unless you get back together. And if you do, that's a whole other letter. You can write us. I'll be in support. Sam will be skeptical. It'll be great though.
I love it.
Okay, my darling. We hope that this helps. You're in the right place. You're on the right path. And we wish you all the luck.
Absolutely. We love you. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for listening. If you would like more content from us or if you would like access to our monthly office hours, you can support us on Patreon. If you support us on Patreon for as little as $5 a month, you'll get an additional bonus weekly episode as well as access to those monthly office hours, which is when we hop on Zoom and chat with anyone who wants to ask questions. It's super fun, super supportive, super loving. The group work together, I think, is the most amazing part of it. So our next our next office hours comes on Sunday, November 24th at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. So support us on Patreon and you'll get access to those. It's patreon.com/justbreakuppod.
You can also slide into our DM, send us your favorite relationship memes, but most importantly, you can submit your questions about all matters of the heart at justbreakuppod.com, which is also where you can find our dwindling merchandise.
Please remember to like, follow, subscribe, give us a 5-star rating and review. This literally keeps our mics on and helps us reach more brokenhearted souls who need two random strangers giving them relationship advice.
Just Break Up is a production of Duvid Media, original music, recording, editing, producing, all magical things by our good friend Spencer Worth Davis. Make sure to check out his podcast and his music. And remember, what you've learned from a breakup, you may not be able to apply to that relationship, but it will help you moving forward. This is what growth is all about. We can't change the past. We can't fix our mistakes or our regrets. We can only take what we've learned and move forward. And if all else fails,
just break up.